Pisces, the fish. Last sign of the water triplicity. February 19th to March 21st. This sign governs the feet of the grand man, or macrocosm. It is a phlegmatic, nocturnal, common, effeminate, watery sign, the negative pole of the water triplicity. The higher attributes are emotion and silence. The sun enters the sign on or about the 19th of February, and departs from it on or about the 21st of March. The sun on entering the sign should be given 6 days before coming into full touch and action with the influence of the sign. A person born between the dates of the 19th and the 25th of February would not receive the full central results of the sign's individuality, as he would be born when the sun was on the edge of the sign. This is known as the cusp, and its nature and impulses partake of the sign the sun has just passed through and out from, and the native will also partake of the attributes of the sign of the zodiac the moon is located in at the time of birth. These people have a deep, hidden love nature, and are always anxious to give of their abundance to all who need. They are natural lovers, and their realm is the kingdom of the soul. They rarely look for dishonesty, on the contrary, are prone to have too much confidence in the words and promises of those they love. They are very loyal to their friends, and will defend them whether right or wrong. It is almost impossible for the average Pisces person to acknowledge a flaw in the person cared for. These are the people who will deny themselves the absolute comforts of life to further the interests of relative or friend. These are also the people of quick attractions and equally quick repulsions, though they are generally too kind to let their aversions be seen. They are very fond of beautiful things in nature and art, and among them are to be found excellent art critics, artists, and writers. They have a clear and simple purity of style when properly educated, that resembles the clear, blue, shimmering water which is their native element. When writing, they have always an eye to the placidly picturesque. These Pisces people are also very magnetic, and some splendid healers are to be found among them. Their gift seems to be the peculiar and sacred one of laying on of hands. In this beautiful work their great desire to help often causes them to give too much, and consequently to deplete and injure themselves. These people are rarely satisfied with giving. They will empty their pockets and spend all the vital force they have on hand, and then fret because they have not done more. Those born under this sign do not demand quite so much as they give. If they did, they would be the most difficult people on earth to live with. They are naturally very honest and clean-minded, and the women are easily disgusted with anything coarse or common. In marriage, they become very unhappy if the relation is degraded into a merely sexual one. These people are fond of responsibility, and usually can be relied on to fill acceptably places of trust. Those who bear to methodical business habits make excellent accountants, cashiers, and bookkeepers. There are very few egotists to be found among Pisces people. In fact, they are in many instances abnormally deficient in self-esteem, and this causes them to appear very awkward, and sometimes leads to the belief that all the world is against them. They may feel that it is of no use to try to keep up in the race with others. Because of their great persistency and natural loyalty, they cling to an early belief or a creed, even when they are very much shaken as to its correctness. When they do change, they are apt to excuse themselves by saying it is not so different after all from what they had previously believed. There is an innate modesty of both old and young born under this sign. Personal appearance. Pisces people are usually full-faced, with placid, sleepy eyes, and apt to be round-shouldered. Companions. They will find their most congenial friends and companions among Virgo and Capricorn people. Faults. Worry, anxiety, and diseased imagination are the most formidable faults of this sign. Some of these people heat their hearts out with imagining fears, and are constantly expecting accidents and unpleasant tidings. This anxiety makes them prematurely old. Many an active and earnest businessman has taken his own life because of his gloomy forebodings of failure, and afterwards those fears were found to have been groundless. Pisces men, probably on account of their training and education, are more careful and methodical in their daily habits than Pisces women, although just as restless. The women can be wavering and uncertain in their actions. They lose their belongings and mislay those of other people. They drop things and forget to pick them up, and sometimes are so superlatively careless in all household matters that even their sweet and helpful dispositions cannot make up for the trouble they create in a well-ordered household. There is a peculiar obstinacy in the Pisces character, which sometimes becomes a most formidable element to deal with, and really seems inexplicable, but it is easily explained. The natural timidity and abnormal delicacy of these people acts as a constant restraint, and after a while, the nature becomes tired of the yoke of its own placing and rebels. At this crisis, they show a stubbornness which is even more disagreeable than that of the stiff-necked Taurus, and they have neither logic nor consistency. They will say and do the most absurd things, and stick to them. At such times, argument and advice are useless. The more they are reasoned with, the more obstinate they become. In the acceptance of a new theory or truth which they have previously repudiated, the males especially, are quite likely to declare that it is precisely what they have always believed. One of the great faults of this sign is intellectual dishonesty. Pisces people are apt to talk too much, and they have a tedious habit of asking questions. When united in marriage to those who object to giving an account of themselves, and who, as in the case of Libra people, have no patience with those who exact reasons and explanations, serious trouble is the inevitable result. Some of the people born under this sign are also very inattentive, and will interrupt a speaker or a conversation with the most irrelevant remarks, plainly showing that they have not understood a word that has been said. This causes them to appear very impolite. When told of their faults, their mortification leads them to a quick resentment or a deep-seated sullenness. Their faults can be summed up in restlessness, recklessness in giving, lack of judgment and discrimination, and disloyalty to self. These people are the ones who efface themselves for others, to the detriment of those they assist, and their own health and prosperity. They can be careless with their words, illogical, constantly asking questions, and never waiting for answers. Diseases. The diseases to which Pisces people are subject are pains in the head, feet, and back, and weakness of the digestive organs. The male is often attacked by periods of despondency and self-censure, which lead to serious illness. The female is troubled by fits of melancholy and weeping, and frequently suffers from uterine difficulties. These ailments and every other known to man can be entirely dominated, forever cast out, by those who realize that mind is master and the body the servant of mind. Mode of growth. People born under this sign should first of all learn the value of silence. They should have a private retiring place, a sanctuary, where for a few moments each day they can be safe from conflict and intrusion. They should not allow anything to break into these vitally necessary pauses. On such occasions they should hold every muscle and nerve in strict obedience to the will, compelling the body to absolute quiet. Their restlessness, anxiety, and heedlessness are at the bottom of much of the trouble that sometimes affects this most lovable people. They must first learn to work out their own salvation before they accept the responsibility of saving others, and to realize that prodigality in giving always defeats the purpose of the giver. They should try to understand that money has made more vagabonds than poverty, and that the weakness of fond relatives has often driven to destruction those who might have been saved had they been wisely helped to self-reliance. All those born under this sign should strive to develop their natural trust in an infinite power. This will prevent them from crossing bridges before they are built, and from the various apprehensions from which they constantly suffer. A good logo for them is God understands. Another one that should be kept in mind is I can and I will. I can, and I will conquer my restlessness, my heartbreaking anxiety, the disposition to talk of myself, the foolish desire to help those whom God evidently intends shall help themselves. I can, and I will, attend strictly to my own business. I can, and I will, put a curb on all foolish emotions. I can, and I will, hold my tongue, and I can, and I will, become a willing and discreet server to humanity. I can, and I will, will be found an equally helpful and inspiring logo for every person who reads this book. Marriage. When a Pisces and a Virgo person are united in marriage, the offspring are usually very bright and intellectual. This is also true of a Pisces and Capricorn union, and the children are likely to be well-formed and healthy in both cases, though there will be fewer offspring from the later union. Domestic comfort and satisfaction are the general results of such marriages. The domestic relations between Pisces and Gemini people are sometimes very harmonious, but Pisces and Libra people, and Pisces and Sagittarius people should not marry unless they have learned to conquer their faults. Those born under Libra are not happy in giving reasons, and those born under Sagittarius will give only such responses as suit themselves, and which are never satisfying to the Pisces mind. Government of children. Many precocious little ones are born in this sign, and the average child is sensible, affable, kind-hearted, and exceedingly sensitive. Even in early childhood they do not like to be dependent upon others, and illustrate one of the chief weaknesses of the sign in the endeavor to give away all they possess. This trait, sweet and praiseworthy as it seems to the fond parent, is one to be very carefully dealt with, as it frequently develops into dishonesty. If a Pisces child is not early restrained from reckless giving, he will deceive his guardians, and sometimes take things that do not belong to him to gratify his inordinate desire to give. It is well to see that these children have a regular allowance, which is to cover certain clearly indicated expenses, as their future usefulness will be seriously impaired if they are not made to understand the value of money. They must be taught that an acknowledgement of their faults or their disobedience is something to be proud of, instead of something to be ashamed of. They should be treated with steady kindness, but they should be made to feel the responsibility of their tasks and study. Too much attention cannot be directed to the formation of neat and tidy habits, and a respect for other people's things. If they kick up a rug, they should be made to straighten it. If they lose or mislay their belongings, they should be expected to find them without assistance, or to go without them. Every possible care should be given to development of the willpower of these children. They sometimes show a peculiar obstinacy, which is mistaken for will, and which the parents foolishly talk of breaking. One might better break the neck of a Pisces child than attempt to break his will. His stubbornness is usually the result of shame, which owes its origin to real delicacy and sensitiveness, and which has been brought to the front by a mistake in government. These children should be led to think and to decide things for themselves by means of principles which they are exceedingly quick to understand if properly trained. The governing planets are Jupiter and Neptune. The gems are chrysolite, pink shell, and moonstone. The astral colors are white, pink, emerald green, and black.